Most people waste time and grit and wind up with dull, scratched rocks because they skip the essential steps in rock tumbling. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a mirror-like finish using just a rock tumbler and the right techniques, no matter what brand you use. I've tumbled dozens of batches with my rock tumblers, and today I'll walk you through the exact process to go from this to this. Let's start your rock tumbling journey right, so you can get results like these. Alright, before we start rock tumbling, let's go over exactly what you need to get great results. First, your tumbler. I'm using a Lortone 33B, a dual barrel rotary tumbler that's been the workhorse of mine for over 10 years. It's had its issues over time, but has served me well. Engineering to the bridge. We have a squealing belt, Captain. But honestly, any rotary tumbler will work, as long as it keeps the rocks moving consistently. Then, you'll need the grits. 4 stages. Coarse, 60 to 90. Medium, 150 to 220. Fine, 500. Or you can use aluminum oxide pre-polish. And a polish, which is usually aluminum oxide, or you can use cerium oxide or even tin oxide to get that beautiful shiny polish. And don't forget the media. Ceramic pellets or plastic fillers help maintain proper tumbling action, especially if your barrel isn't full and you're polishing softer stones. With that said, media isn't really needed until the last 2 stages though. In the coarse and medium stages, you actually want tumbling action to shape the rocks efficiently. Next, let's add some water. We want just enough to cover the top of those rocks. Nothing more and nothing less. And finally, a rinse tub, a toothbrush for cleaning, and a few towels or paper rags. Tumbling can get a little bit messy, but that's part of the fun. With these simple tools, you're ready to turn a rough rock into a polished gem. Stage 1 is where the magic begins, the coarse grind. This step shapes your rocks, rounds out jagged edges, and sets the foundation for a great polish. Start with loading your barrel about 2/3 full with rocks. You want a good mix of sizes, so the grit can work evenly. But if you don't have enough rocks to fill it, add ceramic media as a filler. That keeps everything tumbling smoothly. Again, ideally for this step, you don't want to use any ceramic media, but if you have to, sometimes you have to. Now, add your coarse grit. Typically, this is going to be 60 to 90 grit silicone carbide. I usually use about 2 tablespoons per pound of rock, but check your tumbler's instructions just to be safe. Then, add just enough water to reach just below the top of the rocks. Too much water, and the grit won't grind effectively. Too little, and the silicone carbide just won't work. Now, you'll want to seal the barrel tightly. Double check the lid is secure, and place it on the tumbler. Let it run for about 7 to 10 days straight. Yep, this step takes time, but you'll be amazed at how much smoother these rocks look when it's done. And remember, you might have to fight the temptation, but don't open the barrel too often. Every time you do, you risk grit spills, contamination, or even a leak, and that would be real bad. Here's a pro tip. If your rocks are still feeling sharp after 7 days, run them longer. Or you can also clean out the barrel and add more 60 grit for yet another week to get them even more round. This stage is all about shaping, so you might want to spend a little extra time on it. After 7 to 10 days, your rock should be noticeably rounder, but still pretty dull. That means it's time for stage 2, the medium grind. But before you load up again, take this step seriously. Clean everything thoroughly. Rinse every rock, scrub the barrel. Even a grain of coarse grit left over can scratch your rocks during these finer stages. Now, reload your cleaned barrel, again about 2/3 full, and add your medium grit. I'm using 150 to 220 silicone carbide. And just like before, about 2 tablespoons per pound. You'll want to add water just below the rock line. Then seal it up and run the tumbler for another 7 days. This stage smooths out the scratches left over from the coarse grind. And while your rocks won't be shiny just yet, they should feel much softer to the touch, almost like a satin texture. Trust the process. Don't rush it. A strong medium grind gives you a flawless polish later. Now that you know your rocks are smooth and free of deep scratches, it's time for Stage 3, the fine grind, or what we call the pre-polish. First, just like before, everything gets a deep clean. Any leftover grit from the last stage can ruin your results. Once your rocks and barrel are spotless, load them up again, about 2/3 full. This is the stage where you might consider using media grit to fill the barrel to that 2/3. This time, we're using a fine grit, usually 500 to 600 silica carbide. But in this case, I'm going to be using an aluminum oxide pre-polish. And the same rules apply, about 2 tablespoons per pound. Water just under the rocks, and a good seal. Let it tumble for another 5 to 7 days. By the end of this stage, your rock should feel silky smooth, and when wet, you'll start seeing the first hint of a shine. This is the moment you'll know it's ready for polish. Alright, you've made it. Stage 4, the polish. This is where the rocks finally transform into gleaming gems. Once again, everything must be spotless. Even the tiniest speck of leftover grit can scratch your rocks during this final stage. I personally like to use a designated barrel that's just for this final polishing stage. If you don't have that option though, make sure it's super clean. Load your cleaned rocks into the barrel. At this point, I always use plastic pellets or a ceramic media to cushion the rocks and carry the polish. Now, you'll want to add your polish compound. I'm using aluminum oxide, but you can also use cerium oxide or tin oxide, depending on the rock type. The same measurement, about 2 tablespoons per pound. I'm going to add 2 here, and water just below the surface of the rocks. Seal the barrel and tumble for at least 5 to 7 days. Some people like to go even longer for those ultra-hard stones. When it's done, open the barrel and rinse them gently. You should see a bright, glassy shine. This is what all the waiting was for. If they still look a bit dull, don't worry. There's one bonus step that can take them from great to perfect. So, you want to take your polish even further? There's one more step the pros use. It's called burnishing. Burnishing removes any leftover polish residue and gives your stones an extra gloss, especially helpful if they look a little hazy or filmy after the polishing. Here's how to do it. Load your freshly polished rocks into a clean barrel. No grit, no polish. Add a squirt of liquid soap, I like to use Dawn, or a tablespoon of borax, just enough to create a mild sudsy mix. Add some water, again just below the rocks, and tumble for 2 to 4 hours. Yep, you heard right guys, this step is super quick. When you open the barrel, your rock should be spotless and gleaming. This step can make a huge difference, especially on quartz, agate, or jasper. It's quick, easy, and well worth the time. Alright, let's talk about troubleshooting. Because even with the right steps, things can still go sideways. Problem 1. The rocks didn't polish well. If they came out dull or foggy, the most common issue is grit contamination. That means some coarse or medium grit wasn't fully cleaned out before polishing. The solution's an easy one. Always rinse everything. Rocks, barrels, and even your hands between the different stages. Problem 2. The rocks are still sharp or uneven after the coarse grind. Well, that means they just need a little more time. Some rocks, especially the harder ones, need a second round of coarse grit. Don't move forward until they're well rounded. Problem 3. Bruised or cracked rocks. Oh man, this one's always an unfortunate one. But it's often caused by an underfilled barrel. If it's too empty, the rocks will slam into each other, making them more likely to break. To counter this, use a ceramic or plastic filler to cushion the load. And here's a quick tip. If you're unsure about your rocks, learn their Mohs hardness. Tumbling mixed rocks can cause soft ones to turn to mud, and harder ones to get scratched. Keep your batches consistent, clean thoroughly between stages, and don't rush the timeline. Rock tumbling rewards patience, and the results speak for themselves. Alright, you've done the work, and now it's time to see the results. These are the same rocks we started with. Jagged, dusty, pulled straight from the ground. And after 4 stages, careful cleaning, and a little burnishing, check out this beautiful shine. That's the magic of tumbling. It's not fast, but it's worth every day of the process. So to recap real quick, Stage 1 shapes your rocks. Stage 2 smooths them. Stage 3 refines the surface. Stage 4 brings the shine. And burnishing? Well, that's the secret gloss weapon. Stick to the process. Take your time, and your results will keep getting better with every batch. Thanks for watching, and I hope this guide helped you feel a little more confident with your rock tumbler. If you've got a batch tumbling right now, drop a comment below and tell me what rocks you're working on. I'd love to hear what you're polishing. Want to take things even further? I've got a lot of tutorials on polishing geodes, making cabochons, and even how to use a lap grinder to shape stones like a pro. You can find some of those links right here on the screen and in the description below. And hey, if this video helped, a thumbs up really supports the channel, and subscribing means you won't miss the next project. I'm Will from Willow's Southwest Studio. Once again, my friends, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till next time.